I just recently picked up this Leatherman charge off a trade off Facebook, and I noticed it was in a little bit rougher shape than I'd expected. It had a snap blade, a chipped saw, and surprisingly enough, had a completely different set of plier heads, which I believed had been from a black wave. Now, unfortunately, this tool was beyond my skill level of repair, and having used Leatherman's warranty in the past, I knew it was fantastic, so I thought to send this in to see if this could be brought back to working order. Unfortunately, what happened just kind of continued to push me away further from Leatherman. It left me with a rather sour taste in my mouth. Leatherman, once at the very top of the mountain for multi-tools and quality, now just continues to fall with each passing day with their questionable quality control, continuous price hikes, and their limited garage releases. Now their customer service is also following suit because with how I was treated during this process, I just cannot go back and recommend this brand anymore. It's really sad to see how the mighty have fallen, but fortunately, there's tons of competitors out there that are actually innovating and listening to their customers. So what went wrong, and where does this all begin? Before going into my recent experience, I first want to cover some of the warning signs that started to creep in and appear. First was the continuous rise of their prices. In my experience, Leatherman used to have the premium over their competitors, but it was always justified. American company, some of the higher end tools were American made, the quality was incredible, and their warranty was truly remarkable. Unfortunately, all good things are doomed to never last, and this was no different. Because over the past few years, Leatherman has just continued to raise their prices, and not just a little bit here and there. They've raised their prices on just such a greedy level it's despicable. I absolutely understand the world we're in with tariffs, increased material costs, just a really crazy troubled time to be a manufacturer. But some of these are just wild. For example, let's look at the Leatherman Micro first. And though I no longer have this model to showcase, we can use this little Next Tool S0 as a stand-in, as they have a pretty similar tool set and footprint. For example, this Next Tool is $16 at the time of this recording, just $16. Now I don't remember the exact date, but I believe the Micro was around $20 when I bought mine. And I think that's pretty fair. I did a little bit of research, and I found a post on Reddit from 2 years ago, and the price of the Micro was $35. I already think that's a bit steep for a tool of this size, but it gets better. So what do you think the Micro costs today in 2026? It's now $15 more expensive, and it'll set you back $50. $50 for this little thing. Again, I'm not comparing Leatherman to this Next Tool. This is just a stand-in, but that's crazy. I know you have the established company and the warranty behind it, but $50 for a keychain-sized tool is just insane. But don't worry, you get all these different colors to choose from to make it a little bit easier to swallow. I just think that's also insane, but we'll cover the topic of colorways later. What's more wild is that the Micro was actually more expensive just a few years ago. Apparently 2 years ago, the Micro was a staggering $65. Now that's just insane, and it appears they realized that because they lowered it back down to $50. So let's move on from the Micro and look at the staple, the main OG, the Wave. Now it's been quite a long time, but I remember when the standard Wave had a retail price of like $60. Now looking back, that's an absolute steal. Then they released the updated Wave Plus back in 2018, and it raised the price to $99.99, so right at $100. Then a few years ago, back in 2022, they raised the price to $110. Then a year later, they raised it again, another $10, so at a price of $120. Now in 2026, the Wave Plus will set you back even more, as now it has a retail cost of $130. It's kind of crazy seeing this price just continue to climb with each passing year. Now don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the Wave. I think everybody should own one. But at $130, where do we stop? Because looking at their track record, this will just continue to climb and climb. At $130, this is already not a cheap tool. This is pretty expensive, especially if you're just starting out and want something reliable and not break the bank. This used to be the go-to recommendation for the just do-it-all multi-tool. This was the tool for the construction worker, the weekend warrior, and everything in between. But now I'm not so sure. It's just kind of hard to recommend something this expensive when there are competitors and even Wave knockoffs out there that are almost the exact same thing, just lacking the warranty at well under half the cost. Now let's say you want to save a few bucks and go with my actual ultimate favorite Leatherman, the Curl. The Curl's been one of my favorites for the past few years. It's basically the Wave, just slimmed down and actually a bit cheaper. This is almost the exact same tool set as the Wave, and the only difference is that the interior tools are not locking, instead held in by a strong detent. There's no two outside accessible tools on the rear. It does not have replaceable wire cutters, and it comes with a pre-installed pocket clip. Other than that, this is basically a Wave Lite, and I really love it for that fact. Now, when this was released in 2021, this had a price of $80. In the past 5 years, this has only increased by $10 and currently retails at the $90 mark. I still think it's way too expensive for a multi-tool like this, but at least it's a $40 discount compared to the Wave. Now looking at the curl, the price increase is very minor. But if you want to see how much prices have increased, let's pivot over to the rebar. I found a forum post from 2014, so 12 years ago, so understandable a lot could happen. But that poster said he purchased a rebar for $43 shipped the year before, and then noticed the rebar was now $58. So if the rebar was around $60 back then, how much do you think it is now? I was able to find another Reddit post from 4 years ago, and the rebar had increased to $80. Now checking the site, the rebar is currently $99.99, so $100. Unfortunately, it looks like most tools are near this price, even the more budget offerings. However, there's one more model to look at when it comes to price, and that of course is the flagship, the Arc. Now this is a new model, so only released in the past year or so no historical data we can track the price. I will say this is one of the most expensive offerings at $250. Now this comes with the free technology, so you can open it one-handed, and all the tools are outside accessible, so no need to open it up to get it to anything. This also comes with the upgraded MagnaCut blade, so of course all these carry a pretty hefty premium. But $250, that's quite a lot to ask for a working multi-tool. Again, it's a really great tool, but I just wanted to showcase it here so you can show how pricey these things can get. And unfortunately, it looks like most tools are kind of headed in this direction as the price just continues to increase each and every year. Leatherman is really pricing out their customer base. It's a really big shame. Now, another warning sign was the innovation, or more specifically, the lack of it. A decade again, this notion would have been laughable. Leatherman was at the top of their game. Heck, they were the main innovator behind the pocket pliers with the original model and continue to release new and exciting models. We had things like the Crunch, which now has been discontinued, so if you have one and need some extra cash, might be time to cash in because they go for crazy prices on eBay. They released the free technology with their free series like this free P2 here, so you can open it up almost like a balisong and operate it one-handed. They even came out with a multi-tool for gun disassembly called the Mutt, and even a model for outdoor use called the Signal. For a while, Leatherman was just pumping out new models for different audiences, and I, along with many of you out there, probably felt like this company could do no wrong. Then it all just stopped. No new tools, and then many of the favorites, like the free P2 and even the Charge, were discontinued. Then we finally started to see new releases. But these are old tools, just in different colorways. And let me tell you this, Leatherman is extremely proud of their different color options. They market this on their social media like crazy, and I think people will flock to buy the tool just because a new colorway has dropped. I personally think it's a little bit silly. But we're not done there. Leatherman then decided it wanted a slice of drop culture, so it opened up the Leatherman Garage. Behind this cool name, they would release very limited qualities of one of their pieces and designs. They released the Crunch, this time with a $250 price tag, and they sold out in seconds and flooded eBay at insane prices. They then released some fixed blades from $215 all the way up to $300. They then released a blackout Charge for $250. These were no longer the tools of hardworking tradesmen, and instead were simply collector pieces bought just to stash away in a drawer or display case or to flip on eBay. It seems Leatherman's kind of lost its way. This isn't the company that it once was. These are no longer tools of hardworking people to help on your projects. It seems Leatherman now wants you to buy these and treat them as collectibles, not what they actually are, which is and forever will be tools. Now, if you've made it this far in the video, you probably want to hear about my experience with Leatherman's warranty. Leatherman offers a 25-year warranty on their tools. I've used it a few times on broken tools, and in the past, it's worked really well. You purchase a shipping label, fill out a form on their site, send it in, you get the new tool back in the next week or so. However, this last experience with this Charge was much different than the ones before, and it really left me disappointed. So I mentioned at the beginning of the video, but I'll set the stage again. I picked up this used Charge. It was way more used and abused than I anticipated. It had a few busted tools, and more importantly, the plier heads were swapped from a black Wave. So I sent it in on warranty on April 20th, which included me purchasing a shipping label. I then received an email a little bit more than a week later on April 29th that I had entered the warranty process, which stated it would take 10 to 15 days to be completed. After not hearing anything for a bit, I utilized their chat feature on their website on May 13th to see if I could get an update. It was during this time that the representative said the tool had a different set of plier heads and it was too unsafe to be repaired, and they would send it back to me without any fixes and send it back in the state it was originally in. Now, I completely understand modifying a tool can void a warranty, and I kind of half expected this result. However, when I submitted that warranty form, I actually made a note of this issue. So I replied saying that I specifically indicated on the form that different plier heads were used and that their unsafe claim was kind of ridiculous. They basically again told me I was out of luck and that was that. The tone was pretty cold, and I was kind of left feeling frustrated, so I just closed the chat. Around 20-30 minutes later, I received a call and a voicemail from an unknown number, which happened to be the same representative I had talked to, which stated as followed. Hello, Leatherman Tool Group giving you a call. I just wanted to give you an update regarding your warranty. I apologize in the chat. You were giving slightly incorrect information. So yes, when it was sent to us, we did see there was different plier head attached. However, what we're going to do is under warranty switched out the standard charge plus TT pliers. So I'll still honor the warranty, we'll still return it back to you with the repaired parts and everything, but I just wanted to give you a call back and verify the information. If you have any questions or want further follow-up, you can give us a call back. Thank you, have a wonderful day. They also emailed me the exact same message, saying they left a voicemail and they would be serviced and swapped out the new plier heads. Now I was pretty confused here. I was told one thing during the chat online and then something completely different in the voicemail just a little while later. Whatever, it worked in my favor and I was excited it was going to be replaced. So I decided just to sit back and wait and see if the charge would ever show up. Yet a week later, I'd still heard nothing. Not an email saying it was processed or shipped, just nothing. Now a little bit frustrated and left in the dark, I emailed back to the most recent message asking if there was an update and voicing some frustrations. And again, nothing. So a few days later, I kind of put up this meme on my story saying still waiting on my charge and service, and I tagged Leatherman in it. They were extremely quick to private message me saying, our warranty team will get you taken care of. However, another day passed with nothing, so I messaged them on Instagram again, as this was the only place they seemed to kind of be responsive. I simply stated I was still waiting to hear back after I emailed the day before, and I had still heard nothing. They came back with a really short, they'll get in touch with you shortly. Again, a few days passed, and much to my surprise, still nothing. So now I decided to go back to their website and utilize their virtual chat again. This time connecting with somebody different than before. I provided the warranty number, and I just kind of asked for an update. I started the chat at 1:10 p.m., and after several messages of let me check on that for you, and let me ask the previous rep, I did not receive an update until well after 45 minutes later. Now I don't know about you, but I feel like waiting 45 minutes on hold just for a really simple update on where a tool is after I provided all the information is kind of ridiculous. I'm not sure what system or systems they use, but I really don't feel like it should take almost an hour just to see if the tool is still being worked on, shipped, or even just getting ready to be shipped. I was informed that the tool is still being worked on and should be shipping in the next few business days. So a common theme, I waited another week and I had heard nothing. So I decided to skip the chat feature this time, and I directly called the number listed on their site on May 29th, 6 business days after I told it was shipped out in just a few days. Now keep in mind that Leatherman had received my tool over a month ago, and I was still left in the dark about what was even going to happen or if it even shipped back to me. After waiting on hold for a little bit, I was eventually put through to another representative. After providing the warranty number and explaining the situation, I was again put on hold for a little while as I searched their system for my warranty. A few minutes later, imagine my surprise when I was told that I was actually already shipped out by USPS a few days ago. Now, I'd never received a single shipping notification or email, and I even asked about this fact. She was very confused as to why it didn't send out an automatic email, yet didn't even apologize. Again, the tone I received here was not apologetic or anything near the sort, and it was instead a bit cold. But I honestly really didn't care. Instead, I was just really happy to hear that my tool was finally being shipped out. This was shipped out on May 27th, and I finally received my completed warranty back on June 1st. Now, customer service aside, the warranty is great. I received the charge back with replaced plier heads, new knife blade, and all the other tools in working order. But on that front, the warranty is fantastic. But the hoops I had to jump through just to get to this stage left a lot to be desired. Now, I want to apologize for my attitude throughout this video. This is not my intention just to badmouth Leatherman and its products. I'm not trying to be a big hater here. It's just really hard to see this once fantastic company lose its way and deviate what made it successful in the first place. Because as ironic as it sounds, this video is actually coming from a place of love because Leatherman could just do so much better than it currently is. I just feel like Leatherman got too comfortable being on top, which just shows you can't be lazy in this market, but there's so many other companies coming out with new multi-tools and features that can potentially upset the market. I still love my Leathermans, but I just don't feel like I see myself as a fan like I once was. So what are your thoughts on the brand? Are you still a Leatherman fanboy or are you getting discouraged like me? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.